So we're going to be looking at the responses to your worries next. So I wonder if you'd be able to tell me about one of the worries that you've had this week.
Okay, well, I suppose a big one this week is with my 21-year-old son staying out late with his friends on Friday night.
What was running through your mind?
I just worried about him, something happening to him. He can drink so much sometimes.
Okay, so can you tell me about what your mind was saying?
Well, what if he drinks too much? What if he gets in a car with a drunk driver? What if they crash? What if he gets beaten up?
And how did you feel when you had these thoughts?
I was really tense and on edge. I was really anxious.
So how did you respond? Like, what did you do to cope?
I tried not to. I asked him before he left where he was going, who he was going with, what time he'd be coming home. He said by midnight, but when he wasn't home by 11:30, I texted him and I told him before he left to be careful.
So at 11:30, are you usually asleep?
Yes, usually, but I stayed up to wait for him. I wouldn't have been able to sleep anyway.
So it sounds like you had all these fears and you were worrying about what might happen to him, and you did a number of things to cope, including telling him to be careful, asking him what time he'd be coming home. You stayed up late to wait for him, and you texted him. For how long did your anxiety last?
Until he texted me. He said he'd just got in the taxi, so I felt a bit better then.
So as you felt better, did you go to bed?
No, I stayed up until he got home. I knew I would continue to worry until he got back, so I suppose I was still worried even after he texted.
So what do you make of this? Like the anxiety didn't go away until he was home?
Well, I wasn't going to feel better until I was 100% certain he was fine.
And at what point did that happen?
When he got home and the whole thing was over.
So before that, were you not certain once he texted?
No, I was reassured he was fine up to that point, but he still needed to get home. So anything could happen. I suppose with it being near Christmas, there could have been lots of drink drivers on the roads.
So you continued to feel anxious until you were 100% certain he was fine, right?
Yes, I can only relax when I'm 100% certain.
So when it comes to your other worries, do you prefer to feel certain then?
Oh, definitely. I need to know for sure. I don't like not knowing.
Have you heard of the term intolerance of uncertainty?
No, I haven't.
So intolerance of uncertainty is a term that's used to explain why people worry. People that tend to be worriers find it difficult to cope with ambiguous situations.
Well, that's definitely me then.
So when somebody has an intolerance of uncertainty, naturally they try and increase their level of certainty. Can you guess the kinds of things that they might do?
Not sure.
Well, what do you do?
I find out when my son is coming home. I send texts. I stay up late.
And do you find that effective in increasing your level of certainty?
I think it's what I want it to do, but I don't think it works very well.
Can you think why not?
Well, on Friday night, I couldn't really be certain until my son was home.
Here is a list of common things that worriers tend to do to increase their level of certainty.
Avoiding, looking for reassurance, researching. This is all the stuff I do.
So, worriers tend to be intolerant of uncertainty. They have an allergy, a fear, if you like, of uncertain situations. They tend to increase their level of certainty by worrying and engaging in behaviours like you see on the list there.
I'm a bit confused though. I do a lot of these things, but I never feel any more certain.
No, it really doesn't work very well. Can you think why that is?
I suppose life isn't like that. Life isn't certain.
So, if my job isn't to help you to become more certain because life isn't certain, what do you think it should be?
Well, I suppose I need to learn how to cope better with uncertainty somehow.
Perfect. We increase your tolerance to uncertainty. If we think of intolerance of uncertainty as the underlying driver of worry, then increasing your tolerance of uncertainty will reduce your worry.
Okay, so how do I do that?
Well, imagine that your intolerance was not of uncertainty, it was of spiders. How would you overcome an intolerance of spiders?
I would have to start holding spiders and somehow I would get used to them.
Exactly. So, to increase your tolerance of uncertainty, I need to help you to face uncertain situations and learn to tolerate them. And rather than trying to become more certain, I would need you to drop the behaviors you're currently doing and sit with not knowing.
Okay,
Am I making sense? Can I check your thinking?
so I can't cope with uncertainty. And then, when faced with uncertain situations, I try to increase my level of certainty with like various behaviors such as texting, but it doesn't work because life is so uncertain and you can't get certainty.
That's right. And how do you build your tolerance of uncertainty?
By facing the situations that cause me worry and make me feel uncertain without engaging in those behaviours. I'm not sure how I would do that though, because I don't think I could just stop just like that.
We will do this gradually. We're going to look at this list in a bit more detail now and identify all the different behaviours you currently do. Then we're going to rank each behaviour in terms of how difficult it would be to stop. Once we've done that, I'm going to help you to start tolerating uncertainty one step at a time, starting with the easiest first.